then you can draw your conclusion. Because the big mistake most people make is when someone goes to start talking, and as soon as a person, before they can even get finished, alright, a person will draw their conclusion because they don't like what's already been said, and they don't want to hear the rest of it. And they make a prejudgment which can be deceiving. I mean, that's why we're supposed to use righteous judgment, not to just go by appearances or our own personal perception. Because, see, that's deceiving. A lot of times we get angry at people for what they're saying, and we don't listen to the whole thing because we're not even for sure what they're saying. You draw a conclusion beforehand and find out that your conclusion was off by a mile. So what I'm asking is that you listen to what I'm saying. And the thing is, of course, you have the right to disagree with everything here. Or you have a right to agree with some of it and disagree with a lot of it or whatever. But the point is, remember, do not disagree with truth. The Bible is truth. And what I pointed out in Scripture, you got to understand the children of Israel was guilty of. And the churches today are doing the very same thing. And Paul even talks about abhorring, to abstain from the very appearances of evil. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you the faces of evil that you have allowed for your children. Oh, bless your hearts. Bless your hearts for you loving your kids to hell. Bless your heart for really loving those children so much that you want to twist their minds and warp them to as they get older, what it's going to do to them, or the spirits that you're inviting to come into their lives. Oh, bless your hearts. You don't know how serious it is. A lot of you have been in church your whole life, and all you know is about certain things that are out in the pagan world from what you read. You don't know nothing, and you hadn't even covered even a scratch of what's out there and comes into the church, and that you allow them, that what you used to preach against, you pastors, you used to stand up against a lot of this, but now you let it in. Now it's okay. Why? Because everyone else is doing it. Yeah, I'm not going to be popular, and I'm not trying to be popular. I know after this is over, I'm probably going to lose a lot of friends on here and not very many comments. I'd be surprised otherwise. But I'm not here to try to gain friends. I'm not trying to gain enemies. I'm trying to give truth. I'm trying to expose some things here. There's others who's better at it than I am. But I'm trying to give you a straight up from somebody who's had, and I wish I never had, that experience and seen what was out there, and the knowledge, a little bit of the knowledge that I have gained from it all. And I wish I never learned the way I'd learned, but I am trying to spare you. This is what this is about. So, okay, I'm going to put these images up. Alright, and then we're going to take a nice long journey. Maybe it'll be a short one, but something that will help you get a good grasp of what you have invited in your families, your home, what you have invited in the church. And this is supposed to be people, you're supposed to be a people that are called out and separated from the world and sanctified. You're supposed to be holy, but you've ended up allowing the unholy and accepted the unholy and trying to mold it into something of a little of both, but you assumed it to be nothing but holy. Let's take a good look at it. Let's call things for what they are. A skunk is a skunk, a cat's a cat, a dog's a dog, evil is evil, good is good. Simple as that. White is white and black is black. Red is red. The sky is blue when it's clear. The clouds look fluffy, or they can be menacing when it's stormy. A bird flies through the sky, then some do not. We have to take a look at things the way they really are, not the way we imagine them. And a lot of times you get mad, a lot of you, not all of you, a lot of you get mad when people point this out because it hits home. Nobody likes the truth right off. I mean, when it hits you smack in the face. There are those who do appreciate the truth. They get knocked down and they have a great, respect for it, though they know it hurts. But then there's a lot of you who don't appreciate being smacked in the face with the truth of the reality of the way things really are. It's like you take a person who's been in a little bubble. They can't get out into the environment because of germs and stuff. You've heard of those people. They call them bubble people or the bubble boy or the bubble girl or something. Well, think of a person in the churches today. All right, think of a person or groups of them just being in that bubble, and that's all you've known. But all of a sudden, that bubble is destroyed. So now you're faced with a whole different thing. Your world no longer consists of that bubble. So I want to bust your bubble, okay? Now you can choose to crawl back in it. That's up to you. I'm not calling names on nobody, so you cannot say I have targeted you. No, sir. This is for all those who are guilty of this. I hope it hits home. And some of you, before this is over with, you're going to, probably before I'm even finished, you're going to say, well, it don't really apply to me, so I'm not going to listen. You better listen, because there somehow, in some form, in some way, you're affected by it, and you have allowed it to creep in your life and in your church. The pastors have allowed it, the deacons have allowed it, the members have allowed it. Everyone's guilty. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to still cling to being, are you going to cling to God, to what He says is holy, or are you going to cling to your version of what's holy? Think about that, okay? So, here we go. Let's go on our little journey. And hit it, Bob. I wanted to, be sure that you seen these images that I just shown you, and I'll kind of I'm not going to go into a big old long documentary about each scene. I'm trying to give you a little glimpse, let's see, a Reader's Digest version of a Reader's Digest version of a Reader's Digest version, so to speak, on these different things that have crept in upon man and also into the church, and how that people, have relaxed and, hey, they finally ended up to a point till they started calling certain things holy, or it's okay, and all this, that it's harmless, and this and that, and they allowed this into the church. So, alright, now what I wanted to do is point out now the one image that you'll see of like a ring and like a medallion there. It's the what they call an alchemy Gothic star, of the fallen angels. Anyway, which we know, it represents Satan. And people get jewelry and they wear it, and they don't know nothing of it. Now, the reason why I bring this up, it's easy. I've seen a lot of Pentecostals and other religion people, they'll see someone with a ring or jewelry, which is most commonly known, which is your pentagram and stuff, and they'll say, well, that's evil. That person's wearing evil. But I've seen where the Pentecostals be wearing stuff that represents evil, and they not know it, and it's out of ignorance. But I kind of threw that in there just to let you know that there are things that has a representation of evil, a symbolism. Yeah, I know there are those who understand that there are pictures and things that has hidden images, that's might have hidden 666 or pentagrams and other such things that's hidden in the background, but sometimes they tend to go overboard. For instance, a child that can be just drawn, and they drawing the moon and the stars, space and nighttime scenery and stuff, in the woods and stuff, and oh, looky there. Oh, there's Satanism right there. Just look at that. The pentagram, there's the horn hunter and everything. Yeah, that's overboard. But there is the reality that these things do exist. Now, a lot of people, now you also come to know about Halloween. Now, Halloween, it's supposed to be All Saints Eve and all this kind of, all the kind of stuff, Samhain and all this. The point is, alright, because you can go look at and do research yourself on this, and you can find out some interesting stuff. Now, there is books out there that don't give you enough detail, and they kind of sugarcoat it. But you can get out there and find the real meaty stuff of the matter. It don't mean for you to go out and go buy you a bunch of cult books and just learn of it. You don't really want that in your home, okay? Think about that. Alright, now, Halloween. You have the witches, the jack-o'-lantern. See, now, the funny thing about it, which you also have the druids. Today, what you have is a sugar coating, the little jack-o'-lantern and stuff sitting on the porch, and people dressing up like, and kids and all this dressed up like these different things and stuff, and then go out and go and trick or treat and all this. Well, okay, this all kind of seems all in fun, don't it? It's good for the kids. Have fun. Look, I'm not for, or should I say, I'm not against kids having fun. What I'm against is people allowing evil to come into their homes and allowing this stuff to creep in, and they'll invite spirits, evil spirits. Remember, the Bible speaks that we do not fight against flesh and blood, but the dark forces, the spirits of the air. He didn't talk about flesh and blood that we're fighting against. It's Satan, his minions, his spirits, the prince and power of the air, you don't see them unless they reveal themselves to you. But see, the thing is, they creep inside the church, to people, everybody, not just church people, everybody. They creep in and deceive. That is what they do. I mean, Satan deceived Eve in the beginning, and so the thing is people don't realize they are dealing with forces of spirits that are quite intelligent. They're not stupid. All right, you give, the enemy of your soul, you tend to downplay him. He's not to be played and toyed with. You're supposed to leave him alone and supposed to be fighting against him, not with them or toying with them, wanting to talk to them. People want to talk to spirits and, oh, let's have fun. Let's sit around and have a Ouija board, or, oh yeah, let's have one of these recordings and let's sit around and ask the spirits if they would talk. You're inviting the devil. You don't do that. You don't parley with the devil. Okay, but with the Halloween thing, let me get into it like this, briefly. Like with Druids, for instance, used to go around at that time, and they had their trick or treats. Oh yeah. The jack-o'-lanterns were set out on people's homes and stuff. It was kind of like, a protection against the spirits and all this kind of stuff. But the thing was, it was kind of like, you remember how in Exodus, how that Moses had, the Lord told him and he told the people about putting the lamb's blood on the door. Well, and they would be safe. Well, now the Druids used to go around doing their little trick-or-treating, except their treat was virgin daughters and sons for the Druids as sacrifices. And when they came around, it was a night of terror. And, if you did not give them their treat, all right, what happened is they would write symbols up in blood on that person's door. That was a sign that person in there, there was someone going to die. A lot of times people would die from fright from that alone, but, oh, excuse me. But my point is, they would leave the Druids, after they got their treat, when someone did give up their son or daughter, they would leave the jack-o'-lantern out there, as a form of protection. It's like, hey, you don't have to worry about us, all right? We've passed from you, and all this kind of junk, blah, 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 I mean, I could go into it, but like I said, I'm only giving a Reader's Digest version here. I'm not going into the whole 9 yards, but I'm just giving you a brief glimpse of it, what's going on. All right, and you have all these different things, with Halloween. All right, but the problem lies is that you allow, a celebration in your churches of the Harvest Festival, but we're keeping the kids off of the street and we're letting them have fun. It's all for Jesus. Well, that's good that you're wanting to keep them off and all this, but yet at the same time you're choose a celebration and calling it a Harvest Festival. On top of that, that gives other people a wrong idea. All right, and then you got your kids dressed up. I think sometimes you have certain characters that you have them your kids dressed up as ain't appropriate. Look, here's the thing. You're making excuses about this Halloween thing and about, on Halloween, we're going to have all our kids over and have a harvest festival. Okay, here's the thing. If you want a festival and you want something that's honoring God and pleasing to God, and at the same time keep your children safe and away from things that are evil or forms of evil. I would suggest, if that's your excuse for the kids, which it's a sorry excuse for you to pick it on that night. I mean, I'm sorry. You can agree or disagree with me, but that's the truth. For the simple thing is there are other nights you can choose and days that you can have it every year saying on this day we're having it for the kids. You do it for everything else. Why not? What's your excuse? You know, you can't allow go along with the world. You're supposed to be called out separated. Remember. Okay, now enough of that. Let's go on. Oh, another thing is the animal spirit guides. Yes, absolutely. Animal spirit guides. Hey, you know, the Native Americans has it, and other indigenous peoples of different countries have them. And the thing is, people have these spirit guides, which are actually demons, that actually will come in a form of an animal. But everything seems so innocent, you know, and harmless. But, you know, when you start calling and inviting these things, well, you know, hey, yeah. Again, then there you go, right back to the Halloween thing. Let's put it back in there because, you know, all these things are connected. All right, you know, like the spirit guides. People sit there and will dress up their kids like animals. It seems all in fun, don't it? You know, I would think again if I was you. You know, you need to do some research on this stuff. You know, you really do. But all I'm here to do is point out, you know, show these things to make you think or get you to thinking anyway. All right, and then you do some looking, you know, and thinking and looking into your heart and thinking about what excuses. You know, I know it might hurt. I might have slapped you there, but I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to, oh, I'm right and you're wrong and I'm just going to be disagreeable. No. Okay, now, you have books and everything on the animal spirit guides out there and stuff. Well, you also have people in the churches who bring and introduce this too. I will name one. There's a whole bunch of others out there, but he's really popular on this, and one of them is Benny Hinn. He's got spirit guides, and there's a few other well-known ones out there too. I could go around probably naming them all, but that would take forever. So, but anyway, the point is, there's ministers who sit there and call them angels. But what they're describing is not angels, okay? Think about that. Where, anywhere in the Word of God has it ever described a angel, female, or small angels? You know, where? Where have you? You won't find it. And yet Benny Hinn has these things, comes from and always in the dark. Always in the dark. And the things they tell them is contrary to the Word of God. Alright? But you have people that, you know, have these spirit guides and stuff. You got mediums, people who are into divination and what have you, talking to dead people and what have you. Wrong thing to do, friends. Wrong. Now, another thing is elves, okay? Elves. Oh, yeah. Everyone thinks that's a harmless thing, right? No. If you would really, again, this goes right back into your Celtic things and thinking, you know, and all the druids and what have you. You know, the elves, you know, you hear about pixies and all this kind of stuff, right? Well, elves, you know, everyone can pick up a novel that might have an elf, or you see things with Santa Claus and the elves and all this kind of, the elves are really good and all stuff. Now, elves were never good. They were not benevolent. They were quite evil, very evil. This, again, you need to stop and think. If you don't believe me, you ought to do some research. Alright, and the point is, I put those images up there on elves to get you to stop and think about what it's, you know, it seduces people. You know, like people get into vampires and stuff. Oh, I want to be a vampire. Oh, yeah, it's so seductive and blah, blah, blah. Evil spirits, friends. Idols. these are, it's just think of it as spirits and idols. They're all together. You've always had them together, spirits and idols. All right, you have the different, the Hindu idols of the various gods and stuff of India and all these other nations and stuff. You got Buddha and all these others and what have you. The Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, has their statues of Mary and then the saints and all this, and yet they bow to them and they pray to them. But we're not worshiping them. We're not worshiping. You're bowing, and that was the same as considered as worshiping. You bow down to it, you're worshiping it. You speaking out to it, that thing can't hear you. God is the one that hears you. That thing cannot hear you, and yet you're talking to it like that's a mediator. Oh no, and it goes on. You got all the priests and stuff and all the Pope and all those things that they have the power to turn a little wafer into hoogie boogie and maggy woogie and kapoof, poof, is turning into an actual flesh of Christ. And the wine turns to real blood. See, and if you don't believe in that, oh, hey, you're considered evil in their book. But, we see what the evil is there. But it's idolatry. Idolatry, there we go again. Maypoles, all right. Well, you've seen on this one image of a pole. It's called a maypole. All right, you can do some research about maypoles, or also you'll find it all comes from one thing as you go through history, and it branches out like the roots on a tree, but has its main root. All right, and again, this comes from idolatry and everything. The Asherah pole, for instance. You know how God spoke against that with the children of Israel. Children of Israel were just taking and incorporating all the other idolatrous worship and stuff and incorporated it and brought it into the worship with God. And God hated that. And now you also seen a picture, an image of a wreath and the Christmas trees. I can tell you about all the little symbolisms and stuff that they use for the decoration. But people sit there and see that, oh, well, this is for Christmas, and all this. Well, what does that have to do with Christ? My friends, it has nothing to do with it, but you bring it into your home and you bring it into church. Now, it's a tradition. It's been handed down. It's all bright and gay and merry and all this, but you make excuses for it. It's always for the kids, always for the kids. All right, but you won't bring, as a Christian, you won't bring a Hindu god and set it up in your house, would you? As a Christian, would you? Or Buddha, or Shiva, which was another one of the Eastern gods and stuff, and all the other ones that they got out there, or, you wouldn't bring that into your home as a Christian and sit there and set it up in your house, just even setting up, would you? Or have you? I hope you haven't. But see, the thing is, why, if you don't allow horror movies and all this, why do you allow these things? Would you have some statues and figurines of in your house or in your church? Would you allow it in there for the say for instance the calf, or ISIS or any of those Egyptian gods and stuff? Would you have that in your house? No, you wouldn't. Okay, my whole point is taking you all through this to let you see where these things have their main root, where it comes. It's all evil. God hated it, and you're allowing this stuff in your church. You have I've seen them churches where they have Christmas trees and all that stuff in the sanctuary. Now don't get me wrong. I believe in honoring. It's okay to honor a day that Christ was born, to honor Christ. But the way you're going about it is all wrong. You got the trees and the Santa Claus, you know, and you see where Santa, and he has the elves. There we go back with the elves again. What's so benevolent about elves? You're not thinking straight. Do you see on the remember on Saturdays and stuff, or, you know, I mean, around the holidays where they'd bring in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and blah, 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 and the little story and stuff about the elves and all this. Is a little story that, what? They didn't really have anything to do with Christ. You know, it says, well, Saint Nick was, no. You're going into trying to bring something into your home and make excuses for the kids. You know, there's different ways of going about to show kids love and respect and giving and you know, and showing them that you love them and all this, but you don't have to be like the world. That's what I'm trying to point. You ain't got to be like the world. You cannot have all these things in your life as a Christian and truly call yourself a true Christian of God and expect God's going to hear everything you do and love you because you love Him and you still have these idols. Well, Israel thought the same thing. You think about this. This is supposed to be a Christian nation, and look at all the evil that goes on. But there are things in the background. There are the obvious evils, and there are the things that are silent in the background, deadly, waiting, just to catch you and destroy you. And a lot of you have already been caught into that little snare. And but the thing is, this is what's going on in the church. Like I said, I am not going into a whole bunch of a history here, like I'm going to give you detail by detail. No, sir. I am just trying to let you see what's out there and how that, you know, where it has its root and that it has crept in. I showed all those images, and I hope you'll go back and look at them again. For one thing alone is to see what is crept in, how that the lies and the deception has come in. Now, I am not talking to secular people. I'm talking to Christians. You know, I am addressing this because this, you know, judgment begins in the house of God. And that's why I'm addressing it. Okay, so I'm talking to Christians here. And this is what's out there. That's what's in the church. That's what's crept in the church, you know, and it creeps into music. And that's a whole other category there, but it all creeps in. There's music is influenced from all these different things. It has crept into the church. And, you know, and you know, the people who will defend some of this music that they calling Christian and stuff, and then when you mention anything, they are violent. They get very, you can tell that there's a spirit there that has controlled them, and they don't even know it. And then once, but even when you a confrontation there to confront them with it, it's a denial, you know. But they can't see that spirit has taken them over. There's everything out there that, you know, in this world that one cannot see that is evil and will destroy you, as well as the things that are there that is obvious. Question is, what? You heard the expression, what's in your wallet? What's in your heart? Huh? What's in your heart? You know, a lot of people make that mistake. You know, they make allowances. You know, they have Valentine's Day, you know, Halloween, Christmas, and, you know, and all these other stuff. You know, they allow it in, and they even, you know, they don't see what's there, the evil behind it. And it seems innocent enough when you say, well, it's for the kids, you know, Easter, Ishtar, you know, and all that. There's nothing good in it. It shouldn't even have that name, Ishtar, with the name of Jesus, which is a derivative, you know, Easter. I mean, you know, why? You know, the eggs and stuff, it all represents fertilityism. It's like the maypole and stuff, you know, the Christmas tree and stuff, that all had to do with fertilities and all this other kind of stuff, what have you, blah, blah, blah. But to see, the thing is y'all allow that, oh, it's so innocent, you know, and all this. But you don't realize you have invited something silent and deadly. And then when as your kids get a little older, you wonder why you have so much trouble at home and stuff. Now, a godly parent will keep on and be alert and, who loves their kids and show them respect, honor, but also be firm with them and not allow them to be exposed to the evils that are out there, to bring it in where it's influencing them. Because that's why a lot of parents in the churches today have rebellious kids, because they have allowed spirits to come in. And then I've seen, we're in the case, yes, where parents who have tried, to keep a godly home and stuff, but their kids going to a public school system are again exposed to the evils out there, and they are influenced. So it matters that if you sit there and raise your kids godly, and if you want to give them an education, think again not to let them be influenced by the world on the outside there, because they're on the outside, they're not in the inside. They teach everything that is against God, and that's why you send your kids there to be educated, to be how to learn arithmetic and what have you and what forth, but yet at the same time you're also letting them be educated to be influenced by the evil. And what is evil out there where they're told that it's good? Again, there's a lot to go on there, but I'm wanting to try to let you see what's going on. That's my point, is to cover this part about idolatry. So think about this. Think about it.